Both sides hope the agreement will end the division between them and lead to parliamentary and presidential elections within 1 year. The Palestinian territories are split, with the West Bank to the west of the Jordan River and the Gaza Strip bordering the Mediterranean. Israel unilaterally pulled out of Gaza in 2005, but still occupies the West Bank. Gaza is still under Israeli siege. Now, secular Fatah, which dominates the Palestinian Authority, controls the West Bank and is Israel's only negotiating partner. It's also widely recognized by the world as the only body representing the Palestinian people. Islamist Hamas took control of the Gaza Strip in 2007 after winning elections the previous year. The group drove out Fatah and PA forces and has been running its own affairs since then. The international community has isolated Hamas because it refuses to recognize Israel. Well, Nicole Johnson joins us now live from Gaza. What difference is this going to make in the Gaza Strip?
Well, the very first difference that it's going to make, and probably the most significant one today, is the fact that people can actually go out onto the street and celebrate and fly the flags of all sorts of different political parties. Now, this is a very unusual sight. You can see the yellow flags of Fatah in Gaza, and that's something that we haven't seen here for 4 years. We've also got the flags of other Palestinian groups, including Islamic Jihad, Hamas, of course, and the PFLP. So that's the main difference today. Over the next 12 months, though, it's unlikely we'll see a huge difference in Gaza, because essentially we have an interim government that is going to be formed, made up of technocrats, that will deal with fairly narrow domestic issues. And for the next 12 months ahead of elections in the territories, Hamas will maintain control and security in Gaza. One difference, though, that was mentioned to us today is the Hamas police forces say that they are preparing to start integrating some 3,000 former Fatah policemen who live inside Gaza. They want them in the Hamas force sometime in the next month.
2007, I referred to it then, so much infighting in Gaza saw Fatah driven out, Hamas taking complete control of the territory. If there are political moves towards unity, is that likely to be translated in terms of those people on the ground who may still feel incredibly bitter about what happened?
We've spoken to a lot of people in Gaza who were victims during the 2007 fighting, families who lost members of their family, people who were shot in the leg, for example. And while they admitted that they still have bitterness towards whichever party did it to them, they were very adamant that they really want reconciliation. They know and they feel that reconciliation is the only way forward for the Palestinians, the only way to attempt to end the siege, not only the Israeli siege, but the siege imposed by Egypt as well. And so they say that they are prepared to put aside their personal feelings, because they know that Gaza and the West Bank need reconciliation.
Nicole, thank you. Now let's move to Shireen Tadros, joining us now live from West Jerusalem. Shireen, just tell me a little bit about what the initial response has been from the Israeli government.
Well, Israeli officials here have been pretty consistent ever since last week, when this agreement between Hamas and Fatah was announced. And it's basically an ultimatum that's being given to the Fatah-dominated Palestinian Authority. Either you reconcile with Hamas or you have peace with us, with Israel. So this has been the ultimatum that's been on the table. And Netanyahu, the Prime Minister, as well as other Israeli officials in the past few hours have reiterated that once again. Now, the Palestinian response to this has been that Palestinian unity is a matter for the Palestinian people, and that this unity government that is going to be formed, perhaps even in the next few days, is a non-political government. It won't contain within it Hamas members or Fatah members, for that matter. So this is essentially none of Israel's business, is what they're saying. And analysts and commentators have also made the point that at the end of the day, we are dealing here with an Israeli coalition government led by Prime Minister Netanyahu, which contains within it many ultra right-wing and ultra-nationalist parties that don't recognize recognize Palestinian rights and don't recognize Palestine as a state in itself, even in a future peace deal. So who is Israel to dictate to the Palestinians what kind of government, unity or otherwise, they should be having?
Well, quite possibly, but when it comes to the people of Gaza who see this as a possible end to the siege of the Gaza Strip, they would appear at the moment, with regards to Israel, to be way wide of the mark.
Yes, I mean, in terms of the peace deal, I mean, Prime Minister Netanyahu has just said moments ago, he's on a visit to the United Kingdom, that this deal's a tremendous blow to peace. But in all honesty, David, the tremendous blow to peace came months ago when the US-sponsored talks between the Palestinian Authority and Israel broke down, and any kind of chance that perhaps there would be a settlement with Israel, and in fact that the siege on Gaza could be lifted, really went away at that moment. So the Palestinians feel right now that the only way to look is really towards themselves and sorting out their own house. And then once they do that, they can then present to the Americans, present to the international community a united front with which to negotiate a peace deal.
Shireen Tadros, thank you very much indeed, talking to us about the deal between Hamas and Fatah and other factions with regard to the Israeli reaction.